welcome to the first ever edition of the Sporting Blizzard podcast. Today, we will be talking about the LeBron free agency frenzy that's going to start here in the next couple weeks, which is technically going on right now, but no team can officially make a mark due to the tampering law with the NBA. Then we're going to talk about the NBA draft, guys coming off their rookie deals that are set to get big pay raises in the NFL, John Tavares and Eric Carlson, and some questions I see on social media that I'm interested in answering. Let's start off with LeBron, though. LeBron James, no one knows what LeBron's going to do except LeBron. But we can make wild speculations like I'm going to do right now. I have 5 teams that I have a list made out of and some reasons why. And we're going to kick it off with the Miami Heat. The reason why I put the Miami Heat at number 5 is because he's best friends with Dwayne Wade. They got Hassan Whiteside. They have Pat Riley as GM. They have some good pieces there. They have Justice Winslow, who is not bad on the defensive wing. He's not what people thought he would be coming out of college, but he's not a bad defensive player. And you have Dwayne Wade, a veteran in the locker room, who we did play with last year, got sent back to Miami, and they are best friends. That could maybe bring him in a bit. And Hassan Whiteside, probably the best rim protector in the NBA right now. The dude is a beast in the inside, in the post. Overall, though, his shooting game is lackluster. But there are 2 special young players, and I'm not saying they're going to be superstars, but LeBron likes guys who can catch and shoot. Josh Richardson and Tyler Johnson, 2 guys that have that ability to catch it and shoot it at ease. And the Heat don't have the worst draft position, but they could have a better one. Maybe they could try and get someone else. Overall, though, the Heat, there's a reason why they're number 5. They have some pieces, but not a lot. Number 4, the San Antonio Spurs. And you're probably thinking, Kawhi Leonard's asked for a trade, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Why does Greg Popovich have to do what Kawhi Leonard asks? This is Greg Popovich. Do you think he's really going to break for someone that easy? It's Greg Popovich. He has a system. It's either his way or no way. He will not get rid of Kawhi Leonard to a Western Conference team. You can forget that straight up. This will not happen. If Kawhi Leonard wants to go to the Lakers, he's going to have to wait until free agency. Greg Popovich will not trade him to a Western Conference team. That being said, Kawhi, he wants to build his reputation. The best way to build his reputation is winning. I think he knows if he helps recruit LeBron to the Spurs, if Popovich is unwilling to move him, he's got a chance to win some more rings, and when his contract does come to end, his chance to even make some more money with some sponsorship deals if he does go to the likes of the Lakers or the Knicks. A big market city. Maybe even the Bulls you can make an argument for. And DeJounte Murray, he's a nice young player. I don't know if he'll be anything special again. He's got some good court vision, nice young point guard. We just don't know much on him. He's played well throughout the year. A suitable replacement for Tony Parker, I feel like, for the Spurs' future. And number 3 on the list, the Houston Rockets. Chris Paul is one of LeBron James' closest friends, and he still is a good player. Dwayne Wade might be his best friend. Dwayne's fallen off a cliff. Chris Paul is yet to fall off that cliff. And Chris Paul's got likes of James Harden, Clint Capella, and Trevor Ariza, but Ariza might have to be lost to get this deal done, and that's something I'm willing to do if I'm the Rockets. I mean, you gain LeBron James, you lose Trevor Ariza. It's not a bad deal up front. And you also have the type of players LeBron likes to play with, and Eric Gordon and James Harden can catch and shoot. They would maybe have to move on from Ryan Anderson, I believe, to get the deal done, and just getting that contract off the boards would be nice overall, let alone trying to get LeBron James. If you can get a team to take that contract, you just do it straight up. I think it's like at $18 million per year. Ryan Anderson's not a player that's worth $18 million per year. Maybe 8 at best. Number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers. And you probably are wondering, why is this number 1? Why is this not number 1? Simple. Lakers are immature. They are a young, immature team. Does LeBron really want to go to that? Does he really want to put up with the likes of diss tracks and all this drama around Lonzo Ball and then Kyle Kuzma taking shots at his teammates? And let alone, If you pay attention to any social media feed, you see a lot of young players are more concerned with playing some video games instead of practicing and working on their game. I see guys like Josh Hart that are a bit more focused on streaming instead of working in the court. I mean, on the court, my bad. Um, with what you look at it, LeBron wants hard workers. He wants that. If they can put that down and put that aside, I'm sure he'd be happy. But how long is it going to take for these guys to realize it? Some guys, it takes them till their 30s to realize, oh, I have to change in order to win. These guys are still young, 22, 23, 20, 21. Brandon Ingram is probably the best young guy the Lakers have due to the fact he's mature, he keeps his mouth shut, and he's a team player. Overall, those are the things you want. But LeBron doesn't fit with a Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's not the best shooter. He is like LeBron. He likes to control the ball. He likes to control the tempo. And I know LeBron said he'd be willing to take a little less of the ball to make sure other players can get their shots and all that. Brandon Ingram needs the ball at all times. We saw what happens when Lonzo Ball went out. He did his best stretch of his young career. He is a point guard. He is what Ben Simmons is to the Philadelphia 76ers. He is that nice young point guard, that big, long, lengthy guy, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. He needs to have the ball in his hands. If you bring LeBron James over, you're ruining that. And I know you're going to say, well, they're going to build a big three. They're going to build a super team. We don't know that. We don't know that they're going to be able to trade Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma. We don't know if they're going to be able to package all of them together to make this great big deal for Kawhi Leonard or Paul George or Chris Paul. We don't know that. Maybe even Anthony Davis. I don't know what Magic Johnson's talking about, but we don't know they're going to be able to make this deal. We simply do not know that. A lot of teams do not want Lonzo Ball's antics. A lot of teams do not want Kyle Kuzma's antics. A lot of teams want a better shooter than Brandon Ingram. You cannot have all your hopes be on LeBron James comes and he makes all these trades. No, you have to look at these young guys and they have to start acting straight up. They can stop with the immaturity. It's getting frustrating. And I will speak here. I am a Lakers fan. I see this up close in front. LeBron would help the Lakers out a lot, and I know that. But how much would he be hurting them at the long run? Look at the teams LeBron's left, and he's left them a wreck. It's 4 years of LeBron, you're done after that. The Miami Heat, they have not been able to reach the conference championship. They have struggled. They are in, right now, the worst position in the league. You are too good to not tank, but too bad to contend. That's not good. And when you have older players, it sucks. And when you are in the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're just going to be bad overall. You're just going to be able to tank. You don't have to move anyone else. Maybe Kevin Love, and you can tank straight up. You might be able to contend with the Nets for worst team ran. And then you're going to look at all the other teams' options. Why would you go with these young, immature guys when you have a Greg Popovich, a Hassan Whiteside, a Chris Paul, a James Harden, maybe even a Russell Westbrook you could argue for. Anyways, let's get to the number one spot on the list. And it's going to be the LA Clippers. I have been saying LeBron wants to go to the Clippers probably since back in January. The Clippers are in a great spot ever since they made that Blake Griffin deal. They got 2 lottery picks. You can either trade that up and get a young player that LeBron would like, or you can trade it for a really good player, like the Timberwolves did for Jimmy Butler. If you can get LeBron a nice wingman like that, you're good. You have a good center in DeAndre Jordan who can just dominate the boards, dominate the paint. He is a good defender, and he will prove that, especially if you have LeBron who can take out most of the area he's guarding. LeBron, when he's in his own separate zone, if he's playing hard defense, you're not scoring that easily. Let alone if you get past him, you meet DeAndre Jordan at the paint. That is going to suck. And the Clippers, they have cap space. They might have to move on Danilo Gallinari. I apologize if I butcher his name. I can't say it that well. If you have to move on for him for LeBron James, you do it. He is nothing special. We have seen him play at the Nuggets, at the Knicks, and now Clippers. He hasn't wowed me. He's a guy that can only play offense. He's a lackluster defender. I would get rid of him if I was Clippers right now because the Clippers are again in a bad spot if they do not make this move. They're in too good to tank, too bad to contend, especially in the Western Conference. You add LeBron James, you immediately become a top 3 team. You'd have to go through Golden State, of course, Houston, of course, but then who's else? I mean, the Thunder, if they keep Paul George, they might have a shot, but Carmelo Anthony's well past his prime, and he never was a good defender in the first place. The Jazz, Donovan Mitchell's still too young to really contend. He's too young. And I know there'll be some Laker fans saying, oh, we'll be good. Wait. If the Lakers make the playoffs this year, it's going to be at an 8th or 7th seed. The only other team that might have a shot of reaching the next level this upcoming year is the Timberwolves due to Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins starting to hit their stride. That's overall the only other team I can see containing the West. And then the Boston Celtics, of course, East, but you don't want to mess up that dynamic. Kyrie Irving's staying there. Stop stirring up the drama. Gordon Hayward is the only guy they should move on from if they want to consider it. End of story. Let's move on to the NBA draft. And I have some top 5 player rankings, but I also want to talk some possible trades on the draft day. And we're going to start off with Kawhi Leonard. And Kawhi Leonard, he has demanded a trade from the Spurs. Greg Popovich is not moving to the Western Conference. He's going to the East. I think everyone knows that. If you don't, stop lying to yourself. If Greg Popovich is going to move on from his star player, he does not want to play him at all. And I was looking at who on the East could use a player like that. There's obviously the Celtics, but you'd have to give up Gordon Hayward for sure, which is not bad because of his contract. You'd have to give up your draft picks this year, possibly the one you have from Memphis next year. But why do that when you have a good team that almost went to the finals with no Gordon Hayward and no Kyrie Irving? That's beyond stupid of a move to me to make. So I looked at other teams that could use him. Well, you could argue Orlando Magic. They have been in just hell for the past 8 years, ever since they really traded Dwight Howard. They have been in NBA hell. They cannot get out of the basement, and they are stuck there. Maybe the addition of Kawhi Leonard would help them get out of the basement and maybe bring some fan support back to the team. Another team that has a good possibility is the Indiana Pacers. Funny how a year ago of moving on from Paul George was going to destroy this team. They're in a great spot. I mean, Victor Oladipo proved that he can be the centerpiece of a team. He proved that he needed that overall support that he got with the Pacers. The Magic started to lose faith in him. Thunder, I don't know what happened to Oklahoma City. I think it might be the Russell Westbrook approach, which is, I need to be the triple-double guy, no one else, which hurt Paul George a bit this year, but that's what happens when you have two guys pair up. But you can argue Kevin Durant's played better in Golden State, and it just might be the Russell Westbrook effect that takes on people. So we will find that out in due time, especially with Paul George most likely moving on from the Thunder. If there's a guy the Lakers will get, it is Paul George, but we're not talking about him. We're talking about Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, he's a special player, and I look at teams that need a special player. It's the Knicks by far. The Knicks will have to pony up their first-round pick this year, Frank Ntilikina, and I would have to say maybe a future first, if not second for sure, and a young guy that the Spurs would probably name in trade. That's what it would take to get Kawhi Leonard. And you're probably saying that's not enough. 1 year on the deal, that's plenty. If you're the Spurs, you know this, and you have faith in your young squad that you are building. Greg Popovich, I'm sure he wants to contend. I'm sure he wants to contend. But he also probably wants to leave the Spurs at the best position possible when he leaves, which is supposed to be in 2020, I saw. If he does leave, then he wants them to be in the best position for the future, I'm sure. He wants those draft picks. He wants those young players. And especially Frank Ntilikina. He is a good defender. He is a fun player to watch. And I know he doesn't put up the flashy points. If you watch him, he is gritty. He does the little things right. which I'm sure the Spurs would appreciate. And overall, what do the Knicks have to lose? I mean, their fan base has turned on them to completely to just sell the team, James Dolan, which should be done. He's not the best owner. He's not the worst owner in sports, but he's not the best. Their GM, I don't even know who his name is replacing Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson got ran out of town. They fired Jeff Hornacek for David Fizdale, and I love Fizdale. I think he's a great coach. I think Memphis kind of screwed him over, especially Marc Gasol, and it's kind of funny with how Memphis finished the year because of that. I guess you can say karma. But the Knicks, why not? I mean, come on. What do you have to lose? Your fan base has already turned on you. Bring some of them back with the Kawhi Leonard. You have Kawhi Leonard, Kristaps Porzingis. You tell me that can't contend in the East. If you tell me that can't contend in the East, you're an idiot. The only other team that would be able to go head-to-head with them are the Celtics. Maybe the 76ers, but they're still young, and they have a lot of injury issues. I'm not willing to say that the 76ers are the top dog in the East until they make back-to-back seasons fully healthy, which they did this year. I want to see them do it again this next year. Joel Embiid, I need to see him stay healthy. Ben Simmons, I need to see him stay healthy. And Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, this is someone I want to get into in a bit. I want to see him stay healthy for half a season at least before I start judging him. I feel like it's a little too soon to judge him on a shoulder injury. But Kawhi Leonard, you put him with the Knicks, that's a dynamic duo. I mean, the Claw and Porzingis, it's just writes itself. New York headlines, everything, it's done. Kawhi Leonard with the Knicks is the best thing the NBA can ask for because you also have fan support starting to go a little down in New York. You need that big guy. You need that Patrick Ewing, which the NBA draft was not rigged this year for the Knicks. Surprise, surprise. But you need that guy that can take this team on his back. Kawhi Leonard can do that. I believe Kristaps Porzingis can be the star of his team. I believe he can be the Dirk Nowitzki of this generation. But Kawhi Leonard? I mean, come on. He's a really good player, and you put him with the Knicks? It's dangerous, let alone Fizdale. He's a bit more of a defensive-minded coach. He'd fit perfect there. And as I said, I want to get into Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz had a rough year last year. There is no doubt about it. He was injured with a shoulder injury, then his shot was messed up. Everything wrong could happen for him, it sounded like. And it's all in his head, blah, blah, blah. I have no idea what to think of the situation, to be honest. I don't think people should comment on his head issues if he's getting his own head unless you know him personally or if you're part of the Sixers organization. That being said, Jason Tatum looks like the better pick right now. Jason Tatum also has Bradley Stevens. Every Celtics fan is going to say that Jason Tatum was by far the best player in the draft. Well, for one, he's not even the best player, looks like Donovan Mitchell's the best player. And you can maybe make an argument for Lauri Markkanen, but with how bad the Bulls were, no one talked about them. Jason Tatum, he has a great coach. Great coach hides young players' issues. If the Celtics kept that first overall pick and took Markelle Fultz, I have a feeling that everyone would be talking about the Celtics made the best pick with Markelle Fultz. Bradley Stevens is a great coach. He proved that with the young players he got, how much potential he's squeezing out of them. The Brett Brown, not impressed. I am not impressed. It's not because the Sixers have been bad. They were purposely tanking. There's no doubt about it. They were tanking. But what else has he done? I mean, come on. He can't get his players to shut up and pay attention to the game. Joel Embiid is more well known for his antics off the court than his on-play ability, I think. Mostly due to the injury fact, and he knows how to keep his name relevant. I'll give him credit in that department. But what's Brett Brown done? I mean, Ben Simmons, this was not a hard pick. Ben Simmons was the clear-cut best player in that draft. He was clear-cut going to be the superstar of that draft. He was clear-cut, maybe even the next LeBron James. So why is Brett Brown kind of considered with Bradley Stevens in a sense of way? I mean, Bradley Stevens got a lot at Jaylen Brown, who a lot of guys did not think were even. He was even a top 8 pick, I think it was at the time. They took him at 3. It looks like he might be the best player of that draft. That being said, Ben Simmons is not going to let that happen. Jaylen's right now ahead of him due to the fact Ben was injured the first year, which can help you develop. You get more strength. You're not having the physical toll of getting hit on the court as much. And Ben Simmons is right now considered a rookie. He kind of is, he kind of isn't. This is his first professional year of on-court basketball in the NBA, which is true, but he's also a year older. He's been with the team a year longer than everyone else. I think he's an overall a very good player and will probably be a superstar of the league. There's no doubt about that. But he looked like that coming out of college. Jaylen Brown did not. Jason Tatum showed potential, but did not really make everyone go, wow, he's the next big thing. Ben Simmons did. Joel Embiid had a foot issue. Besides, everyone kind of said he stays healthy. It's the best thing. Markelle Fultz, it's the same thing as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Had an injury coming out of college. People are high on him. Had a horrible first year. And maybe he'll rebound for the second year. Jason Tatum, great rookie year. Great in the playoffs. Has the best coach in the league. Well, Markelle Fultz, he's stuck with an average coach at best. Anyways, let's get into the top 5 players I have ranking for the NBA draft. And I do not follow EuroLeague much, so Doncic is not high on my board, mostly because I don't watch him play, and with what I have seen, he does not impress me. But let's kick it off with number 5, Michael Porter Jr., and he had a back injury last year, and that's why he's number 5, if not number 1 on my board. He has been the number 1 pick in this draft for how long, and he had a back injury, and back injuries are nothing to mess with. They're nothing to mess with. If you have a messed up back, you are done as an athlete. But he shows that he's got the talent to take a team to the next level. I think he'd be best fitted in Chicago, of all places. That system, Lauri Markkanen. I think he'd be a great player there if he stays healthy. And his upside is tremendous. With what I saw little of him at college, the little I saw of him, I was impressed, and I said, this guy is the next big thing. And you can say he struggled. He struggled against Arkansas. He wasn't the same. He's coming off of a bad back, played his heart out, and did not do bad. He was giving 110% effort. Him, to me, screams, gonna work hard every day until he succeeds. He is going to be that guy for a team. He is going to be like Kobe Bryant waking up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. I don't remember the story anymore. I swear it changes every time I hear it, though. Getting up, going to the gym that early, and working until his body can collapse. That's what Michael Porter screams to me. He screams to me that franchise guy. And I would love to have him number 1. I just can't with that back injury. At the end of the day, a back injury can destroy an athlete. I mean, look at Rob Gronkowski. Everyone right now looks at him, oh my God, how did no one take him in the first round, let alone the top 10? Bad back. A bad back can mess someone up, and he has not been able to stay healthy throughout his career due to it. He's a great player, unable to stay healthy. That's what I'm afraid Michael Porter will be. And number 4, Luka Doncic. I hear all this hype. He's the next big thing. He's a 6'6", 6'8" point guard. I'm not impressed. I see a 6'11" point guard, 76ers, and Ben Simmons. I see 6'11", I swear 7 foot sometimes, Giannis Antetokounmpo point guard, and the Milwaukee Bucks. What does Luka bring to the table? Is he a good shooter? He looks average at best. Is he a good defender? He looks average at best. Is he a good passer? He looks average at best. He's an average overall player, I think. And in the NBA draft, that's not bad. You'll be taken high. I mean, really, out of the top 10 picks, you're lucky if you get someone that's a starter or a sixth man. I mean, the NBA draft does not load with talent like the NFL draft or the NHL draft. And you take what you can get. Luka Doncic, he'll be a good starter. He'll be able to hold down the position for years. He'll be like a JJ Redick. But he won't be that superstar everyone thinks. Up next, I have Marvin Bagley at 3. Marvin Bagley. Where do the positives begin? This guy has an NBA-ready body. That is one thing you want to say, especially at his age. He's got an NBA-ready body. He can take the abuse and he likes to dish it back out. That is amazing. I mean, where do I take him right now? And he's got Coach K that's worked with him. Coach K, that's a major plus. Coach K coaches USA basketball. He brings in these guys to the NBA all the time. They'll always do really good. Where do I sign on Marvin Bagley? I know this guy's going to be a good player. I don't know if he'll be great, but I know he'll be good. I know he has a chance to be an all-star. Why don't I take him? I mean, simple as that. Probably because there are two other guys I have higher on my board. But I mean, if I'm at 3, those two guys are gone. Why am I going to take an average at best player or a guy with a bad back when I can take a polished guy who's worked with Coach K and has an NBA-ready body? Those are major pluses. Number 2, Mohamed Bamba. Now, he might have the best potential in the draft overall. He might. And he is a risky pick for whoever takes him. He is risky because he could struggle immediately, and you cannot turn on him. This guy needs to be taken lightly. You gotta work with him, but you don't throw him out to the wolves immediately. His potential screams superstar, but that's if you tread lightly. You do not throw him out there to the wolves night 1 as soon as he's drafted. You do not do that. You be patient with him. Bamba, in 2 to 3 years, could start showing the potential of a superstar. He could develop into that next level thing. He's got some good defensive skills, but he does need to work on his jump shot. There's no doubt about it. And that's why I would be a little bit cautious about him. Because the NBA is right now moving to threes. I don't draft for the specialty in 3 department. I draft due to their skill set. I draft due to their potential. Bamba, he's got the best potential in the draft. But he's got a lot of risk with him. You got to be patient with him. You got to put him in the right situation. Probably the best situation would be the Dallas Mavericks with Dirk. We can't guarantee that's going to happen. Then he's going to slide down to the Mavericks. The Kings would not be too bad, but they don't really have much depth in front of him. Maybe Zach Randolph. I don't know if he's still with them. The Suns need help. But I don't know if Bamba's the best bet because they need to start winning some games now before Devin Booker becomes unhappy. The Hawks, perhaps. You can move him down there with John Collins, create a dynamic duo. You can have him wait, be patient, take him lightly. Don't throw him out there night 1. Out of all the teams sitting in the top 3 between the Suns, Kings, Hawks are the best bet for him. But unfortunately, I have a feeling the Kings might go with him tonight. And my number 1 player is, of course, DeAndre Ayton. Now, it's a shame his team got eliminated in March Madness in their first game to Buffalo. It happens. Oh well. But the thing is that I found funny is I didn't take them to win the Pac-12 tournament because I was afraid, with all these issues with their coach, Nathan, there'll be no chance. They win it. I'm like, okay. They'll go far in March Madness. Nope, okay. But Ayton? You can't deny his ability. I mean, he took over I think, around 11 overall games this past college year. I really saw him take over. It's not that he had a really great game. This guy was just destroying the opposition. And that's what you want to see out of the number one pick. You want to have him see at least 5 games that he dominates. He had 11 that I watched, and I went, wow, this is the next big thing. I just took my breath away. His ability on the court speaks volumes. And we don't know if he's going to have issues off the court. Of course, no one knows with any of these players with what they'll have. Unless they have a failed drug test or a dilute sample, we don't know. I hope Ayton stays clean because he might be the Shaquille of this generation. He might be that big name big man that can take over games. We have Karl-Anthony Towns, and who is a good shooter, but Ayton, this is a monster. This will be the monster among men in the NBA for years to come if he can reach his full potential. If he can crash the boards like he did at Arizona, if he can take his spot-up shots, if he can do all that, there'll be no control on him. The Phoenix Suns will be a team on the rise with Jackson, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton. Those 3 will be deadly. I'm not saying they'll be immediately taking out the Warriors. That's way too soon. But 3 to 4 years from now, I think a lot of teams will be holding their breaths. Let alone, Warriors will be on the decline. LeBron should be on the decline. I don't know for sure. Lakers might be up there. But who else? Who else is up there? Maybe the Timberwolves. Maybe the Rockets if James Harden stays healthy. Maybe the Thunder if Russell Westbrook stays healthy. There's so many maybes, but there's so much potential with Ayton that if you pair him up with the Suns 3 years, 4 years from now, can you tell me they will not be scaring everyone? Can you tell me they will not be dominating most teams? Can you not tell me that the people that cracks jokes about the Suns being how bad they are on the defensive end, about how bad they are overall, Suns will be laughing at them now. Now we're going to change gears to NFL players coming off their rookie deals that are scheduled to make big money. Number 1, and this is in no order. I'm just going to list them off. I have a list here of guys with their statistics that I really like. And we're going to start off with Eric Kendricks, a linebacker from the Minnesota Vikings. He has played a total of 45 games. He has started 41 of them. And here's where the fun stuff begins. In 2015, he had 72 solo tackles. That was his rookie year. That's impressive. He had 4 sacks, which is good, 1 pass deflection, 92 tackles overall, and only 4 sacks. But in 4-3 defense, that's really good. You don't want your guy rushing the passer. In 2016, he started 14 games, played only 15. He had 109 total tackles, 70 of them solo, 2.5 sacks, 9 pass deflections, and 1 interception, which turned into be a pick 6 and 1 forced fumble. Can you tell me how that's not a great sophomore year? Can you tell me how no one brings that up when they're talking about great sophomore years? That dude pretty much went with the Vikings, which is a great defense, by the way, and just said, my defense, mine. Killed it. And now we're going to bring up his last season in which he played in every single game, started every game. 113 tackles, 67 of them solo, 1 sack, 6 pass deflections, 1 INT. It was, again, a pick 6. So far, if he gets an interception, he's taken to the house based off his past statistics. But can you tell me how he's not going to make a lot of money? With how NFL contracts are rising, the only thing I can say might not happen is he might not stay with the Vikings due to their guys. They're going to have to re-sign. We're going to get 2 more guys later on this list that I think will be getting big money from the Vikings. Will they be able to keep him? I don't know. Overall, though, he should be scheduled to make around, I would say, 4 years based off the age. That's what they right now are asking. 4 years. I would say he is going to be close to 50 to 60 million dollars, not fully guaranteed. Guaranteed, I would say around 40 million, which for a linebacker, that's extremely good. I'm excited to see where his future is, and I'm excited to watch him play this year. Bar no injuries, this guy will be in for a massive payday. Up next, Landon Collins. And you're probably recognizing this name like, oh, he's a good player. Yeah, he's of course going to be in for it. He's not going to be in for the biggest pay raise of any of them. Of everyone I have listed here, he's not going to be the biggest pay raise guy. But he will be known as a really good player for years to come. And we're going to start off with his rookie year. Played in every single game, started every single game. I like that. 112 combined tackles, 84 of them solo. That's just music to my ears. That's straight up music. 1 forced fumble, 1 INT, 9 pass deflections. That's a great rookie year. That proves that you're going to have issues getting past him if you make it to the secondary if you're a running back, or if you get past your linebacker or your cornerback. If he's covering the deep zone, he's going to come up and take you out. 2016, his sophomore year, he had 16 games he played in. He started all 16 of them. Again, great. We know he's an Iron Man for the first 2 years. That's great. 125 overall tackles. That's insane. And the Giants did not have a bad defense that year, so it's not running backs that are just always breaking through. He's coming in and making the plays happen. He had 4 sacks. That's impressive for a safety alone. He had a fumble recovery. He had good position. Fumble recoveries, not as impressive as forced fumbles in my eyes. He had 5 interceptions. That's insane for a safety, especially at his young age. And one of them was a pick 6. That's impressive. And 13 pass deflections. So he's getting to the ball. Until he had 8 plays that he had the ball touch his hands, that he was able to make a play happen. That's impressive as a sophomore. In this upcoming year, 2017, this past season, my bad. He had 15 games he played in all of them. I can't remember if he was injured or not off the top of my head. I don't know why. For some reason, I just can't remember. But I do know he had surgery this offseason on his right forearm, which could see a bit of a decrease in his 2018 stats. But 2017, 104 tackles, 78 solo, 26 assisted. That's good. 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. Again, making plays at the ball. He's hitting them, and he's in great positioning. That's good. 2 INTs, 6 pass deflections. Of course, not as good as his sophomore year. But that's still extremely impressive. I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to make the most money at this draft class. And these are not including first-round picks. That's a give me. Of course, the quarterback's going to make the big money. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota will make the big money. But there's a guy I'd pay a bit more of right now based off his age alone. And we'll get to him in a second. But if you tell me Landon Collins does not at least make $50 million guaranteed, you're stupid. He'll probably get franchise tagged this year. Let's be honest, he probably will get franchise tagged. I don't blame the Giants. He's going to come off a right forearm surgery. That's not the best thing to have. If you're the Giants and he has a lackluster year, I franchise tag him, and I have him play out the 2019 season on the tag and see if he's really worth it. And then I would be making my mind. And if he's a little upset about the tag, I just place him on franchise tag again. But Dave Gettleman, he knows talent. He did a great job at building that Carolina Panthers defense. I don't think he's going to let a guy like Landon Collins leave. But next on the list, David Johnson. Now, truth be said, I was not the biggest David Johnson fan. I'm still not probably his biggest fan. I'm a pretty big critic of him. But I am not stupid enough to say he does not deserve the big bucks based off his play. But the reason why I would say I wouldn't pay him a lot if I'm Arizona right away is because he's only had 1 dominant year. I'll get into that in a second, but let me list off his stats, and you'll see. 2015 is his rookie year. Of course, rookie running back, Northern Iowa, not going to get many playing reps. I understand this. 16 games played, so he played in every game. That's good. 5 games started. I believe that was the back half of the year, but I could be wrong. 125 attempts. It's not bad. 581 rushing yards. That's pretty good. 8 touchdowns. Again, pretty good. 36 receptions, 457 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Here's something I don't like to see, but the loss column, so it means he did not turn it over. 4 fumbles lost. He lost 4 fumbles. One of them went to the opposition. 3 of them they were able to keep. But that's not the best stat. I would like to see him improve on that, which he doesn't in the upcoming year. He improves on everything else, though. 2016, 16 games played, of course. 16 games started. Again, he dominated that past year. 293 rushing attempts. That's good. Not overusing him. 1,239 rushing yards. That's really good. 16 rushing touchdowns, not total. 80 receptions, 879 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. So overall, he had 20 total touchdowns. That's great. That shows improvement to me that he's willing to work. He had 5 fumbles. That's what I don't like. That's what kind of rubs me the wrong way, is the 5 fumbles. And he lost 3 of them. So he didn't lose more, of course. But when you are dropping the ball 5 times in a season, that's bad. And I don't mean to say this, but Le'Veon Bell, he's a guy that rarely fumbles. David Johnson's got some other things over him, but he rarely fumbles. Something David Johnson will want to improve on. But if you know what happened to him in 2017 season, it was not good. He had 1 game, 1 start, 11 attempts, 23 yards. 6 was his biggest run, which is not that great. 6 receptions, 67 yards. In that game alone, though, he lost the ball 2 times. That rubs me the wrong way. And I overall hope that his wrist is fine, because understandably, if he did have an injured wrist, I can see how that would maybe affect you holding on the ball, not having that tight grip, and just fumbling it. And I can understand that. This 2018 year will really decide how much he's really worth, although I hear the Cardinals are working on a deal with him right now. I will say he'll get big money, but I will not guess on his contract, because I do not think I would pay him right now. Let's get into the next guy, and here is the guy I want to keep out of everybody on this list. This is the guy I want to keep for the future. Danielle Hunter. And I'll explain to it after I read off his statistics. His rookie year, not freshman, he had 14 games played, 1 start, 33 tackles, 29 solo, 4 assisted, 6 sacks. Coming off the bench primarily. It's a really good year coming off the bench. He forced 1 fumble. 2016, his best year so far. 16 games played, 0 started, 56 total tackles, 34 solo, 22 assisted, 12.5 sacks coming off the bench. That is great depth the Vikings have. He had 1 safety, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble. He recovered it, scored a touchdown. 2017, he started every game last year. He had 45 total tackles, 27 of them solo, 18 assisted, 7 sacks, 2 pass deflections. 1 fumble, he recovered it. And you're probably asking, why would you take him over everybody else in the draft? Out of every other guy you can have outside of the first round, why do you take Danielle Hunter? He turns 24 in October. He is still currently 23 years old. He is still young. He is going to make 2 big contracts. If I'm him, 4 years. That's all I'm saying. 4 years. We talk 4 years. 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. Because he's not going to be in for 1 big payday. He's going to be in for 2 big paydays. He is that type of talent that should be able to get 2 big paydays. And he is pretty much the next Calais Campbell if you look at him. If you watch him play, he is Calais Campbell too. He plays exactly like him. He's not as tall. He's probably got the same body shape, body frame as Calais. And you're probably saying, why don't I hear more of him? Because that's how good the Vikings are, is that he kind of is undermined when you have Everson Griffin on the other side. You're going to be undermined a bit, but it's understandable. And next, I'm noticing a trend here, what's all Vikings mostly. It's because they had a really good draft. And this guy's name is Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, good player. Maybe not even the best receiver the Vikings have, and that's Adam Thielen. That's saying something. In his 2015 rookie year, he had 13 games played, 9 games started, 52 total receptions, 720 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, which is not bad for a rookie. That's what you have to remember. He's a rookie here. He had 2 fumbles. That's not something I like, is 2 fumbles. But he improves on that from the rest on. 2016, 13 games play, 11 started, 84 receptions. That's really good. 903 yards. That's pretty good. 3 touchdowns. Not as good. No fumbles. That is music to my ears. No fumbles. In 2017, he played in 14 games, started all 14 of them, 64 receptions, pretty good, 849 yards, not bad, 8 touchdowns, good improvement, no fumbles. It's like when you have improvement at the quarterback play, your player's of course going to improve. Up next is Jay Ajayi. And this guy's a hard guy to judge due to the trade, due to him not really blowing me away, due to him being in a back rotation last year. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not that thoroughly impressed. His rookie year, 9 games played, he started 0 of them. 187 yards, 1 touchdown. Yip-de-doo. His sophomore year is when everyone started to jump on his bandwagon, which I personally have not yet because I have not been impressed. 15 games played, 12 started, which, I mean, if you do this in 12 games, it's not bad. It's pretty good. But he's not as good as some other running backs in the league, I feel like. 1,272 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 fumbles. 4 fumbles. Cannot hold on the ball that well, it looks like. 35 targets for a running back. That's quite a lot, actually. And 27 receptions. Only 151 receiving yards. That's not that great. He played every game he did play for Miami last year in 7 for 7. His Miami stats were 138, 465 yards. 138 rushing attempts. 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble. 20 targets, 14 receptions, 67 yards receiving. The reason why I wanted to separate the Miami and Philadelphia stats is because he had 7 games played with the Eagles. He had 1 start, only 70 rushing attempts, which happens when you go to rotation. You're going to have a lot of your attempts cut. 408 yards, so he's pretty much on pace with what he was doing. 100 touchdowns. Not 100 touchdowns. Oh my God, 1 touchdown. Sorry there. 2 fumbles. 14 targets, 10 receptions, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. So he had a total of 2 touchdowns last year, not 100. I can already see people give me grief about that. He had 2 touchdowns, not 100 last year. If I'm the Eagles, I'm more concerned with paying this next guy than Jay Ajayi. But Jay Ajayi could be a lot more impressive this upcoming year due to the fact they will no longer have LeGarrette Blount. This guy was acquired via trade last year. He was probably the best addition the Eagles made. He is a cornerback. He played for the Buffalo Bills in 2015. He had 5 games. He started all, 15. He started all 15 of them. He had 68 total tackles, 61 unassisted, 7 assisted. That's a really good for a cornerback. 21 pass deflections, 2 receptions. He makes plays on the ball. He is good when the ball is in the air. 2016, he had 14 games all started, 69 total tackles, 60 overall, solo, 9 assisted, 12 pass deflections. No receptions, but that's still good. Now, he was injured last year. He had 8 games. He started 7 of them. If you remember, he broke his ankle last year. 34 combo tackles, 30 total, 4 assisted, 3 pass deflections. 3 pass deflections, 3 interceptions, 9 pass deflections. That's not bad. That's a really good year. That's why I would be more concerned in paying Ronald Darby over Jay Ajayi. Now we're going to switch over gears to some hockey. And right now, the NHL playoffs just got over with. The draft's coming up. The NHL awards were actually just last night. But free agency's coming up. And some trades should be coming up. The number 1 free agent is John Tavares, the starting center for the New York Islanders. And I compromised this list. I have not watched hockey for many years. I've actually This was really my first full year of watching an entire season from start to end. And there are a few teams I thought, Tavares could really help them. I also had to include salary cap reasons why this may be hard to happen. So I have 5 teams I think would be vastly improved with if they got him and can afford him. Number 5, the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey Devils had Taylor Hall, who just won MVP last night. Round of applause for him. Considering with where he was at in Edmonton, New Jersey's done a lot for him. Overall, they had Nico Hischier, who is their best centerman, I believe. You put John Tavares there instead of Nico Hischier, you're going to have John Tavares and Taylor Hall. Can you tell me how they do not give a run to the Penguins or the Capitals or the Lightning or the Bruins or the Maple Leafs? Can you tell me how they don't give them a run for their money in the playoffs this coming year? I mean, they looked really good throughout the regular season, but they looked a little lackluster in the playoffs against the Lightning. Yeah, John Tavares, you kind of gain your power back. Anyways, number 4. Speaking of the Maple Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs at number 4. Now, the Maple Leafs, they just need something to get over the Boston Bruins. Maybe if this is even just for a year, if they beat the Boston Bruins, I'm pretty sure their fan base would be happy. But you can have depth like Austin Matthews on the first line. That's pretty good. Maybe you'd argue John would maybe get the first line nod. I'd see Austin keeping it. Second line, John Tavares. It's pretty good. Third line, Tyler Bozak. Not a third line centerman. Or not Tyler Bozak. Nazem Kadri. I am so sorry. Fourth line, if they keep him, Tyler Bozak. Or they would probably have to lose him if they were to acquire John Tavares, which is not bad. You lose Tyler Bozak, you gain John Tavares. That's an overall good deal across the boards. Number 3, the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas, right now, is in a tough position. They overachieved last year. Capitals proved in the Stanley Cup Finals. They're not ready to contend. They need a superstar. John Tavares is that superstar. They have the cap space. They can bring him in. And they can also do something with another star that's available on the trading block, which I'll talk about in a bit. But can you tell me why Vegas would not go all in on John Tavares? You have to keep your fan base you just established in Vegas before the Raiders come into town. You have to keep your fan base. That's a big thing. Number 2, Marc-Andre Fleury. Right now, the centerpiece of your team, he is old. He is going to be exiting his prime. I actually think he's on the way out of his prime right now. He's had a lot of concussions. We don't know how much longer he's going to have. And finally, you have all the draft picks in the world. Why don't you add John and trade for the other superstar we're going to talk about in a couple seconds and start to build a core of dominance? Anyways, I really can't continue on much until I talk about the other guy they can acquire. So we're just going to go to the next team on the list, and that's the Montreal Canadiens. They've pretty much said, please, John, sign with us. They might as well just have posters. Montreal wants John Tavares. That's why they traded out Galchenyuk this past couple days to the Coyotes. They want John Tavares. They need John Tavares. If they don't get John Tavares, their GM, Marc Bergevin, however you pronounce it, will most likely be on his way out, which for Canadiens fans might not sound too bad right now, with how poorly ran they have been. And Carey Price, his contract is horrible. John Tavares might be getting that horrible contract as well, if he were to go there. This GM has proven he has no idea what the cap space is, so he would maybe give John Tavares around $10 million for the next 6 to 7 years, fully guaranteed. For a hockey player, that's really good with how their contracts are. I don't blame him if he takes that deal. But number 1, I have the New York Islanders. Stay home. They have got Lou Lamoriello in their front office, and I actually just got an update that Barry Trotz, the guy who just won the Stanley Cup Finals, the head coach of the Washington Capitals, who have agreed to mutually part ways, is maybe going to the New York Islanders to be their head coach. So they got rid of Gart Snow. They got rid of their coach. They're bringing in guys that actually know what they're doing. and can actually run a team properly and can make the playoffs and, as proven, can win the Stanley Cup. I mean, John, why not stay home? You already have a house there. You already have your friends there. Your fans already love you there. It's perfect all around. Stay with the Islanders. You're golden. And the next guy we're talking about who can possibly be on the move, Erik Karlsson. This is a guy who will probably be traded. He probably needs to be moved. Ottawa cannot afford his contract. Ottawa cannot afford anything right now. They decided to trade Mike Hoffman in one of the most ridiculous trades I've ever seen. And you kind of got to move on from your top player, especially with how bad you are. You don't have your first round pick next year due to a horrible trade for Matt Duchene. You need to move your top guy to get some draft picks. Number 5, Toronto Maple Leafs. Boston Bruins scored all over them. I mean, this was bad. This was bad. They could not help Frederik Andersen to save his life. They could not help him at 1 second. And it showed. I mean, Roman Polak, not the best guy. I couldn't even tell you who their top line is. I believe it's Jake Gardiner or Morgan Riley. I'm not even sure if that's their official top line. Erik Karlsson go in there, and I believe they would pair him up with Morgan Riley. That'd be a great first line. You immediately have a shutdown line you can put out there and just take everything out. And Karlsson can score, let alone you take a little bit of pressure off of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander. You take the pressure off of them. You're golden. You have a good defender that can put the puck in the back of the net, but can also transition to defense and help your goalie instead of having open eyes in front of your goalie. You actually have a player. It would help out a lot more and pay a lot of dividends. No matter what, I think you give up your next 2 first-round picks to get Erik Karlsson. You have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. You make that decision. It's completely on the GM if you want to risk it all or if you don't. This is Kyle Dubas' first year as GM. We are yet to really see with what he can really do. And it'll be fun to see with what the Maple Leafs decide to go, if they'll try to really improve their defensive capital, or if they're kind of fine where they are and have some young guys develop. Number 4, the New York Rangers. Rangers, I don't know what they're doing. They look like they were taking out the trade deadline. I see they are all in all these rumors to sign these free agents. They honestly sound like the Lakers of the NHL to me. I don't know what they're doing. That being said, they did acquire a lot of picks at the trade deadline. Trade a couple of those picks to the Senators. Get Erik Karlsson. You have your franchise guy for when Henrik Lundqvist decides to retire. It's all around a good deal if they want to go back to contending. They did not play bad after they decided to tank. Could be a good decision overall. Number 3, the New York Islanders. The Islanders have no defense and no goalie. They need to at least improve one of those. Improve the defensive end, I believe, before you try to get a goalie in there. Mostly because you can have a great goalie, and Freddie Andersen is a really good goalie for the Leafs. I don't know how great he is. He got embarrassed with no defensive help in front of him in the playoffs against the Bruins. So you're in the Metropolitan. You're going to have to go against Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, TJ Oshie, Taylor Hall. Why not make the move? You're swimming upstream if you do not try and make a move to improve your defensive end. You have 2 good draft picks this year. You will be able to trade your draft pick next year. Acquire a Karlsson, improve your back end, improve everything overall. Number 2, the Flyers. And I put the Flyers on here because I watch Penguins hockey. I'm a Penguins fan. I am everything Pittsburgh. You will find out here in the coming weeks, I'm sure. Penguins kind of ran on them a bit. They could not keep up. Erik Karlsson did a great job of slowing down the Penguins in the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago. The Flyers could use that. The Flyers can use a big boost on the defensive end. Erik Karlsson can give them that. And the only thing this deal cannot be done probably is because of cap restrictions. The Flyers maybe have to move on from somebody. They can't trade them to Ottawa because Ottawa can't afford anything, so they'd have to make a deal beforehand. Overall, though, that's a bet that I think the Flyers should really look into. Number one, though, the Vegas Golden Knights. They have the draft capital. They have everything. Trade for Erik Karlsson. Try to sign John Tavares. Build yourself a dominant core for years to come. That's what you need, and that's what I think they're going to do. The Vegas Golden Knights put themselves in a corner with how good they were this year, and I think that's going to find themselves hard to get out of this corner. I do not think they'll be as good this year if they keep the same team, and I do expect them to fall off a bit, and it's probably for the best. The only reason this will not be good is, of course, your fan base will fall off as well. Vegas is going to want a proven winner, and with the Raiders coming down, we don't know how good the Raiders will be, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. The Golden Knights can take a major hit. NFL is the most popular sport in America. I would say basketball's too. I would say hockey's on the rise. You need to be good. You need to be good right now to keep those fans. You need to be good until the Raiders are bad with you. That's what your goal needs to be. Anyways, that will solve most of the things we're talking about today. These are questions I saw on social media and I got asked to do, and I'm just going to do them real fast, and we're going to call it after that. Top 3 NFL dynasties. Now, this is something I thought hard about, and it was hard for me to leave some teams off, so I decided to do 2 quick honorable mentions. Number 1, the Buffalo Bills. You're probably thinking they never won a Super Bowl. The 4 straight Super Bowls, that's a round of applause. Even if you win any or not, it's still impressive. They deserve to be mentioned. And another honorable mention, the Otto Graham Browns won 10 straight championships. The Browns that people joke about now were not the Browns like that back in the day, back in the old AFL. They were the top dog, which is weird to say. But let's actually get into the top 3 dynasties. Number 3, the 70s Steelers. And the reason why I put them at 3 and I did not put the 90s Cowboys on here, I had to think about competition. The only reason I edged the Steelers out is because I feel like they had a tougher competition. Much tougher. And you could say, oh, the 90s Cowboys deal with a bigger league. That's totally fair. A bigger league which had talent more spread out. Back in the 70s, talent was not spread out. They were bungled up. And they had to go against the 70s Raiders, which would probably rather kill you than play a football game. The 70s Dolphins, the team that went undefeated. And then after they got through them, they'd have to play the 70s Cowboys with Roger Staubach. That is insane that they were able to win 4 Super Bowls. And 2 of them against the Cowboys in the 70s. That's impressive. They did not do much after the 70s because, of course, players get old. It took them some time to become back into relevancy. 90s really were good for them. And 2000s, and they're, of course, a good team right now. But the 70s were the top days for the Steelers, and they really wish they could re-see those lights again. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers of the 80s. And I was thinking about this one, because my main thought was, they had so many good players. I mean, it's kind of unfair if I don't put them on the list, but do I put them 1 or do I put them 2? I had to put them 2. It was a hard decision, but I had to put them 2. Mostly because their dynasty did not end when they got a new quarterback. It actually won them another Super Bowl. Their dynasty did not end when Joe Montana, the best player in the league, got traded to another team. It continued. They won 1 more Super Bowl. That's impressive. Let alone you have to figure, they were in the 80s. This was when you had the Buddy Ryan Eagles, the 80s Chicago Bears. The end of the 80s was really when the Cowboys started to go in the positive direction, but not by then. When they were starting to get some more draft capital, starting to make good deals. And you had at the end of the 80s, you had the Buffalo Bills. You had the New York Giants of the 80s, coached by Bill Parcells, defensive coordinator, Bill Belichick. That's a really good tandem. The 80s were a good time in the NFC, and it could be like that for the coming years to come. With what we look at right now in the 2000s, 2010s, whatever you want to call it. This is what it could be like with the NFC in a couple of years, that we're just talking about the NFC's dominance. Number 1, New England Patriots since Tom Brady took over. And this very well can continue when Brady retires. And if Belichick stays there, it probably will continue. Who knows? Christian Hackenberg can be the next Tom Brady. I don't know at this rate. But the Patriots know how to play the game of football. They are coached well. They do the little things right, and they make you make mistakes. And you think about it, this team had Drew Bledsoe, then Tom Brady. That's impressive. You go from that, that's a great transition. Tom Brady has made Drew Bledsoe look like nothing. He has made Drew Bledsoe an afterthought in New England. Drew Bledsoe, probably a Hall of Fame quarterback one day, is an afterthought in New England due to how good Tom Brady's been since he's taken over. They have gone to, I believe, 8 Super Bowls. They have won 5 since 2001, since Brady has taken over. 17 years. They've been to almost half as many Super Bowls. The only thing that I'm slipping up about this because I keep on forgetting, oh yeah, they had that 1 year in 85 they got embarrassed by the Bears. Since then, you see the Patriots in the Super Bowl, you know it's bad. You know you're in for it. The Eagles got lucky last year, you can make an argument for. Because nobody embarrasses the Patriots. This is something we see. I'm expecting the Patriots to be really good this year, if not better than last year. And you always say, well, it's another year older, Tom Brady's going to fall off. Tom Brady is yet to fall off. He has found the fountain of youth, and he has taken it all for himself. The Patriots dynasty will continue until Bill Belichick decides to retire, and everyone else grows old, while Tom Brady's out there still looking like this at 80 years old, throwing the football. It's what's going to happen. And it's sad, but you can't stop the Patriots. They don't want to be stopped, and they're not going to be stopped. The only thing that's against them is maybe the Malcolm Butler and, all these leaks. I don't believe these leaks for a second. For some reason, I just see Bill Belichick just telling his staff, write this, it's fake. Just creating fake news just to make sure everyone thinks it's the end of the Patriots dynasty. It's smart. But it's the Belichick way. It's the Patriots way. And they've been doing this for how long? Yeah. Anyways, the last question of the day. Will the Raiders be able to have the same success as the Golden Knights when they come to Vegas? No. Mostly because, straight up, Stanley Cup Finals, I don't see in the Super Bowl. No. It's not hard to answer. I'm not the biggest Gruden believer. Gruden is thought of highly because he stepped away from football. If he kept in football, no one would think of him this highly. He kind of tore apart that Buccaneers defense. He had a couple good years in Oakland, but now everyone's all offense. You have to be able to coach the defensive game to win football, to win Super Bowls, to win championships. The Raiders do not have a good defense. They have Khalil Mack. That's it. I cannot say that I think the Raiders are the next big thing. I cannot say anything about the Raiders being great. They have a great quarterback. That's the only thing I'll say. They have a great quarterback in Derek Carr. They have a good receiving core. They made a bad trade with Martavis Bryant. He might be suspended for the rest of his career. You gave a 3rd-round pick for that. That he might not even play a single game for you. That's going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history if that happens. You have Jordy Nelson, who is at the end of his career. You got rid of Michael Crabtree. I'm not the biggest Crabtree fan, but I know age plays a lot into this factor. Jordy Nelson was good with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers made a lot of people look good. Aaron Rodgers made James Jones look good. Aaron Rodgers made James Jones get paid. What happened to James Jones? He struggled when he left Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for tuning in for the first ever Sporting Blizzard podcast. This should be a weekly thing. It'll be happening every Thursdays and sometimes on Tuesdays. I'll try to at least do 2 Tuesdays a month and every Thursday. And if you do enjoy this, please tune in next week and have a good day. Oh, my voice.